Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. So we are going live on YouTube in a minute, and as I make the settings, yeah, we are live on YouTube. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu, I can hear you. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
So Hare Krishna, I welcome Padmanayana Prabhu again to our part 2 of this lecture series on Glories of Lord Ramachandra. And all of you in the audience know Padmanayana Prabhu is the director of Mayapur Institute based at Mayapur, India. And he has been conducting Bhakti Sastri courses at our own ISKCON New York Center, apart from many other places around the world. Thank you, Prabhu. Please begin your lecture. Hare Krishna.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnanam Janasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manohishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mayham Dadati Shopadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajeevam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhantam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shantam Shashwatam Apromeyam Anagham Nirvana Santi Pradam Brahma Shambhu Anindra Sebhyam Manisham Vedanta Vedyam Vibhum Ramakhyam Jagadishwaram Shuragurum Maya Manusham Harim वन्देऽहं करुणाकरं रघुवरं भूपालचूडामणि वन्देऽहं करुणाकरं रघुवरं भूपालचूडामणि यत्तत् विशुद्धानुभवमात्रमेकम् श्रोतेजसाध्वस्तगुणाव्यवस्थम् प्रत्यक्प्रशान्तं श्रुधियोपलम्भनम् ह्यनामरूपं निरहं प्रपद्ये. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we will be discussing some philosophical aspect of the personality of Godhead, Lord Ramachandra, and in the light of the pastimes from Ramayana, we will take some lessons for our Krishna conscious practices. So mostly we will be speaking two things in today's lecture. One is Tattva about Sri Ramachandra and the teachings from the past of Ramayana. So in Bhagavatam it is explained about Lord Ramachandra. Yattad Visuddhanubhavamatram ekam. He is described as being one without a second. Ekam Purusha. And he possesses a form, Satchidananda Vigraha, uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, and he can be perceived by pure consciousness. Vishuddhanubhava matramekam. Anubhava. He can be realized, he can be perceived by pure consciousness. Pratyak prasantam sudhyopalambanam. Because of his spiritual potency, he is untouched by the contamination of material nature. And because he is not subject to material vision, he is known as transcendental. Then Hyanama Rupam, he has no material activities, nor has he material form or name. Hyanama Rupam. Only in pure consciousness, that means Krishna consciousness, can one perceive the transcendental form of the Lord. Tam aham prapadye, niraham prapadye. Let us firmly fixed at the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra, and let us be firmly fixed. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Ram. So we should know that in Tattva there is no difference between Lord Ramachandra and Krishna Chandra. That there is no difference between Ram and Krishna. When we speak Krishna, that means Krishna includes all other incarnations. In Brahma Samhita, it is said that Ramadi Murti Sukala Niyamena Tishtan Nana Avataram Akarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu. So that Krishna, who is Krishna Swayam Samabha Parama, Param Purushattam, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is Krishna, and he assumes all these forms, Samadhi Murti Sukala. But he is always manifest in different incarnations. Uh, so what are those incarnations? Lord Rama, Rama, Nrsimha, Balaram, etc. And therefore, we should know that because the same personality manifests himself in different incarnations, so in Tatpataha, there is uh, no difference. Srila Rupa Goswami explains in Nectar of Devotion, he says, Siddhantatastovedopi Rama, Siddhantatastovedopi Srisha Krishna Swarupaya, Rasena Karsyate Krishna Rupamesa, Rasasthiti. So, according to Tattva, there is no difference between Isha and Krishna Swarupa. Here Isha may be Lord Narayana or Ramachandra, can say, and Krishna. But Rashi Nutkarshati Krishna. Krishna is Krishna excels in Rasa. So therefore, Krishna is the supreme. So when you discuss about the Rasa Tattva, the sweetness of the supreme, Krishna comes in top, is the topmost personality. In terms of exchanging the different rasas with his devotees. Altogether, there are 12 rasas. That's why Krishna have been defined as Akhila Rasamrita Murti. He is the reservoir of all rasa. But in any way, when Lord Krishna, he incarnates himself in form of Lord Ram, Rama means the supreme enjoyer. Ram. Ramante yoginam anante satchidananda chidatmani Rama pade nasho. So Rama means real bliss. And all the yogis, either Dhyana yogi, Jnana yogi, or a Bhakti yogi, these three kinds of yogis, everyone tries to enjoy that eternal bliss. That is real pleasure. Therefore, we should know who Lord Ramachandra is. And Krishna means all attractive. Yeah, Lord Rama means the supreme enjoyer. So there's no difference in that way. Tatpada. And the glories of Lord Ramachandra was originally compiled by Maharshi Valmiki. Later on, there are different devotees who have compiled the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, which is nothing but an expression of their devotion to Lord Ram. We find there was a devotee in Bengal by the name called Kirtivas. This Kirtivas also had written pastimes of Lord Ram. That is also the expression of his feeling of devotion for Lord Ramachandra. In Bengal, people say Kirtivas Ramayana. That is not actually Ramayana. He has written something glorifying Lord Ramachandra. Similarly, there is another devotee whose name is Tulsidas. He has also expressed his feelings uh, of love and devotion to Lord Ram, and therefore he has named his work as Ramacharita. His mind filled with service attitude for Lord Ram. That is the real meaning of the book, Ramacharita. In his mind, he is filled with devotion to Lord Ram. So, if we want to know the Ramayana in totality, then we must refer to Maharshi Valmiki Ramayana. Hmm? So this Ramayana book actually written by Maharishi Valmiki. And here we were in the Mangalachan prayer, we were discussing one verse which was written by Tulsidas in Sundarkand. It's very nicely uh, explained. Santam Sasvatam Aprameyam Anagham Nirvana Santi Pradam. This is a description about Lord Ramachandra. Santam is very peaceful, and Shashvatam, uh, he is eternal, he is not never disturbed. Uh, so, Nirvana Santi Pradam, he is always giver of the peace. Like Krishna also, he is the friend of all living entities. And when we know him, when we get connected with him, we get ultimate peace. So in that way, Lord Ramachandra and Krishna Chandra, according to Tattva, there is no difference. So uh, the pastimes of Lord Rama is very, very instructive for us. We can take lesson from to further progress in our Krishna consciousness. In scriptures, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described as Prema Purushottama, Leela Purushottama, or Maryada Purushottama. But they are the same personality. So who is Prema Purushottama? Prema Purushottama is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself. And who is Leela Purushottama? Krishna. Krishna is called Leela Purushottama. And then Lord Ramachandra is called Maryada Purushottama. He is the personality of morality. When Lord Ramachandra he was ruling Ayodhya, he was very strict in observing the rules and regulations of the Vedas, and he had taken the vow of accepting only one wife. He was very strict, and by following the regulative principles, he was ruling the subjects in Ayodhya. Even till today, there are some people uh, who are aspiring for Ram Rajya. Uh, at the time of Lord Ramachandra, during the reign of Lord Ram, not even a mm, uh, dog, or you can say the living entities who are born in lower species of life, had to go through suffering. Because the Ramchandra was very chaste in following the Vedic injunctions and guiding his subjects. So in that way, and Lord Ramchandra stands for morality. He is Maryada Purushottama. So therefore, by studying Ramayana, we can take a lot of lessons for our uh, Krishna conscious practices. In fact, by following those teachings, we can be successful in our goal while pursuing Krishna consciousness. So, as I said, today we'll be discussing philosophical part. So far we have discussed a bit about the philosophy. Now we're going to discuss some pastimes from Ramayana. From here, we can draw some lesson for us. Uh, so, one pastime I would like to narrate where we could see that when a devotee follow his duty properly, he can do impossible thing to possible. So, what is the meaning of following one's duty? That is called dharma. When we follow our dharma, like there is duty mentioned in the Vedic literature for the brahmacharis, for the grahasthas, the vanaprasthas and sannyasis. So all different ashrama vasis are required to follow the duty prescribed for that particular ashram. When we follow our duty, the religious practices properly without neglecting it, then you can achieve anything, you can do anything. You'll never meet with defeat. So, to explain this, we will take the pastimes of Hanumanji from Ramayana. As we know, Anjana was the mother of Hanuman. Uh, Actually, Anjana was an Apsara uh, named Punjikasthala, who was born on earth as a monkey princess due to a curse of a sage. Anjana was married to Kesari. Kesari is the chief of the monkey. And in scriptures, it has been described that he was the son of Brihaspati. And even though Anjana was born in the monkey family, still she was very chaste to her husband, and she was following all the rules and regulations of scripture. She was worshipping the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, and in that way she was favored by uh, getting Hanuman as her son. All of us know that Hanuman is not an ordinary living entity. He is a topmost servant uh, in the mood of Dasya, servitorship to Lord Ram. Hmm? So this Hanuman was born to Anjana and Kesari. And because this Anjana was an Apsara and she was cursed to take birth in the earth planet, therefore, uh, uh, when his curse was about to finish, he was supposed to leave the body and go back to the heavenly planet. Uh, So it so happened that the time arrived for Anjana to relinquish his material body and go back to the heavenly planet. And then everybody came to know that in a short while, Anjana is going to leave her body. And at that time, Hanuman was a small child. And of course, as you can imagine, your near and dear one in the family, if she or he says that in next few days I'm going to leave my body, you can very well imagine what would be the situation of the family members. So everybody was thinking about it, but at the same time they knew that because of the curse she was born, now she has to live, so they could not do anything about it. But when Hanuman he heard of this, uh, and then he went to the deity of Lord Vishnu and he prayed to the Lord. Actually, before going to the Vishnu deity, Hanuman told his mother, he said, "My dear mother, you know, I am a small child now, and I cannot survive without you. How can you leave me? You can't leave me. You have to stay with me." And as you can see that because she was originally an Apsara, she at the same time had attachment to go back to the heavenly planet. At the same time, because she had already given birth to a son, that son was very kind and loving. So she was, in the meantime, very much attached to Hanuman. So she didn't know what to do. And then Hanuman could see that his mother is not in a position to confirm that she will stay with him. Then Hanuman went to Lord Vishnu, actually equivalent to the deity. Then he started praying to Lord Vishnu. And finally, Lord Vishnu became pleased with his prayers. Then Vishnu appeared before Hanuman. Said, "What do you want, Hanuman?" Hanuman said, "My dear Lord, you know, I am a small boy, and you have created mother to take care of the children. And how can you be so cruel to take my mother away when I still need her attention? I want her to feed me. I would like to sit on her lap. I want her to put me into sleep. I can't live without my mother. Huh? Why are you taking my mother away? No, you can't take her." Then Lord Vishnu said, "Hanumanji, you follow your dharma, everything will be all right." This is the instruction came from Lord Vishnu. After that, uh, uh, Lord Vishnu disappeared. So Hanuman knew that if I can follow my dharma, then I can save my mother. And it so happened. What we are trying to say is that you can see from the story how Hanuman, when he was just in following his duties, his dharma properly, he could bring his dead mother back to life. You can see what happened. So Hanuman uh, got the blessing from Vishnu. He came back to his home, and it so happened that on the particular day, Anjana, she lie down on the bed and she left her body. And at the time, Hanuman was missing. Hanuman was not found because, according to Vedic custom, the son has to do the final rite for the parents. So Jambavan, he said, now Hanuman has to do the final rite for Anjana. And as everybody searched around, where is Hanuman? But Hanuman was not found. Hanuman is missing. He has gone somewhere. They went on searching uh, all over, but they could not find him. And what Hanuman did? Hanuman could see that Yamaraj is taking my mother. I mean to say, mother's life force uh, was on the hand of Yamaraj. So Hanuman was chasing from behind to uh, Yamaraj. And Yamaraj, after a while, he could see that this Hanuman is coming behind. And finally, he asked Yamaraj, he said, Yamaraj, how can you be so cruel? I am a small boy. I need my mother. Why are you taking her away from me? You're not supposed to do that. But Yamaraj said, what can I do? This is my duty. I have to perform my service. I can't do anything about it. It is so destined by the destiny. So I have to do my service. And Hanuman said, and Yamaraj said that you can go to this, what is his name? Kuver. Kuver can help you. So, and you have to reach before uh, I reach there. So Hanuman was flying at a very high speed, and he reached. And after having the conversation with uh, this, what is his name? I said. So he came back. Actually, he got his mother's life back and brought her back. And her mother, his mother, came back to her life. And at that time, Hanuman also returned back. Then everybody knew that Hanuman had gone to bring his mother's life back. So now his mother is alive. So the moral of the story is that because Hanuman was following the duty, dharma, properly, so he was able to rescue his mother. He was able to save his mother's life, even though his mother was dead. Uh, So uh, there is another pastime where we see that any for a common human being following of sadharana dharma. Sadharana dharma means common religious principle is a must. Nowadays, in the modern world, people are not very much conscious about following the sadharana dharma, common religious principle. But in Treta Yuga, we can see even this was followed by the demons. Even the demons, they follow sadhana dharma. Sadhana dharma, when we follow the common religious principles, practices like don't tell lie, don't harm anyone. These are common religious principles. Be chaste to your father. Husband and wife relationships should be based on chastity. So these are all common religious practices. And it is expected that every human being must follow these. So, and this is a lesson for us. What is the lesson? If in those days in Treta Yuga, even the demons could follow their duty properly, then why not us? Or you may say, why we have to follow our duty? Because if you don't follow your duty, then you become sinful. Even the demons, they knew this. Therefore, they are very chaste. Let us hear the story. One time, Indrajit, he fought with Lakshman. And while fighting with Lakshman, Indrajit came to his senses that Lakshman is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. So he went back to his father, Ravana, and he told Ravana that uh, Lakshman is an incarnation of the God. But Ravana would not accept it. Ravana became very furious to hear this statement from Indrajit. He said, no, Lakshman cannot be the incarnation of Supreme. He is just a normal human being. But then Indrajit said, no, no, my dear father, I'm not just making a statement like that. I can give you the proof. What? He said, um, I applied Pasupat Astra and it circumambulated Lakshman, returned back. Then I applied Narayana Astra. It did not do anything. I applied Brahmastra. Just while approaching Lakshman, it disappeared. So these are all invincible weapons. Brahmastra, Pasupatastra, then Narayanastra. So because these astra could not harm Lakshman, And therefore, I confirm that Lakshman is not a human being. But Ravan did not accept it. Uh, So Ravan went on encouraging Lakshman to go back to fight. Sorry, Indrajit to go back to fight with Lakshman again. But this time, Indrajit was thinking, if I go to fight with Lakshman, definitely I'll leave my body. But before I go to fight, uh, I must go and meet with my mother. I should take my mother's blessing. When Indrajit went to meet with Mandodari, his mother, and he expressed that Lakshman is not a mere human being, rather he is an incarnation of Godhead. And when Mandodari heard this, he said, "My dear son, you know your father has gone mad, and he will not listen. At least you go and take shelter of Lakshman, because you know who he is." Uh, but Indrajit said, "I cannot leave my father." You can see such a dutiful attitude. Uh, I have to perform my duty for my father. And nowadays, in the world, uh, in the material world, we have seen the mother mm, has a son or a daughter. Now she is ready to get divorced. She is not, bother about following her dharma. That she needs to give protection to the child. She is going away with another man and thinking that I am happy now with this man. She doesn't bother about her husband, about the child, about the society custom. What is this? At least we should learn from this story that even in the time of Lord Ramachandra, people, I mean to say the demons, they are even chaste in following their duties. So if we follow our duty properly, when we follow these common religious principles properly, then only we can become a human being. And just to become a human being, every human being is required to follow the common religious practices. These common religious practices have been explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Chaitanya Shikshamrita. If you read it, and also by Narad Muni in Srimad Bhagavatam, when you read those, you will know uh, what it is. Then the next teaching I want to bring to your attention from the pastime of Kaikeyi, that um, according to one's particular karma, one suffers or enjoys in material world. Uh, so one's enjoyment of material life depends on one's karma, particular karma. How much we may try to create a good situation by our current position, current situation, to be happy, if our karma is designed in such a way that we will not get the happiness, we will never get the happiness. This is what we can see the life history of Kaikeyi. As you know, the famous pastime, once upon a time, once upon a time, Dashrath Maharaj was invited by the demigods to fight with the demons on their behalf. When Dashrath Maharaj went to the battle, he had taken Kaikeyi with him. Kaikeyi, being a Kshatrani, she was very brave and she helped King Dasarath in driving his chariot in the battle. And it so happened that one day, while Dasarath Maharaj was fighting, he fell unconscious. And it is Kaikeyi who drove the chariot so expertly that she could bring Dasarath Maharaj to a remote place, and by serving him, she could bring Dasarath Maharaj's life back. So Dasarath Maharaj was feeling highly indebted to Kaikeyi. and he wanted to give her some boon. But Kaikeyi said, "My dear husband, as long as you are there for me, what is the need for me to ask for any benediction from you? I don't require any benediction." But Dasharatha said, "No, you ask for any benediction I want to give you." Then Kaikeyi said, "Don't worry, if I need, I'll tell you in future." And then when it was time for Lord Ramchandra to be coronated in the throne of Ayodhya, when Kaikeyi heard this from Manthara, Kaikeyi became very, very upset. And she actually uh, used her crooked mentality, being under the influence of Manthara, that her son should become the king, not Lord Ram. As we know, Ramchandra was very much liked by all the residents of Ayodhya. And because all the Ayodhyavasis, they like Lord Ramchandra, so Lord Ramchandra was supposed to be the king. And all arrangements were made. And since Kaikeyi demanded that Bharata should be the king, and she used that promise of Maharaj Dasarath that you had told me you will give me three boons. Now I need those boons. So in that situation, in that episode, Kaikeyi asked this boon that Ramchandra will go to exile for 14 years and uh, my son Bharata will be the king. And because Dasharatha Maharaj had given his words, it's a big story. I'm just cutting it short. Uh, so then it so happened that Ramchandra had to go to the exile with Lakshman and Sita Devi, and then Bharata became the king. Uh, how did Bharata become the king? Actually, when Bharata uh, returned back home, because when all the incidences happened in Ayodhya, Bharata was not at home. So afterwards, when he came back, he heard everything. He became very angry with his mother. And you can see Kaikeyi was such a devoted wife of Dasarath Maharaj. Because of her association with a crooked lady, Manthara, her mind was poisoned. So here also we get a lesson that if you are into wrong association, that bad association will create a karma which will inflict suffering to your life. Manthara convinced Kaikeyi that you should become the Rajamata. Why Kaushalya? Why mother of Lord Ram? In fact, for Kaikeyi, she loved even Ramchandra more than her own son Bharata. But anyway, because she was under the influence of Manthara, that's how her mind got changed. And you see the bad karma she has created because of the wrong association. So we must avoid wrong association in our life. This is another teaching also in this connection. And as you know, when Bharata became the king, he went to meet with Lord Ramchandra because he didn't want to become the king. He didn't want to sit on the throne of Ayodhya. He was thoroughly convinced that the throne of Ayodhya is meant for Lord Ramachandra. So in any way, he went to the forest and he pleaded Lord Ramchandra to return back to Ayodhya. But because Lord Ramchandra had given his words to his father, so he remained to stick to his decision. But finally, the agreement was done that Bharata would take the sleeper of Lord Ramchandra, and by putting the sleeper of Lord Ramchandra on the throne of Ayodhya, uh, Bharata would represent Lord Ram to rule the kingdom. So Bharat, he brought the sleeper from Lord Ramachandra, and he was residing in Nandigram. That was a forest area, very nice, beautiful place. But uh, he did not go back to the Ayodhya palace, and he was leading the life of an ascetic. He would only survive on fruits and roots, water. He would not sleep on the cot. He would lie down on the earth. So in that way, he was just simply waiting this time to get over so that uh, Lord Ramchandra can become the king of Ayodhya. So in that way, uh, while Bharata was leading the life of an ascetic, staying in underground, Kaikeyi was suffering. She was thinking, what did I do? Huh? I wanted my son to become the king. He is no more king. And Ayodhya, everybody in Ayodhya is displeased with me. What is the meaning of my life? Why should I stay here to enjoy this royal opulence? I should better go back to stay with my son Bharata in Nandigram. So one day, Kaikeyi came to see Bharat in Nandigram. And Kaikeyi wanted to stay with Bharata. And she was ready to stay like an ascetic. So Kaikeyi told Bharata that uh, I want to stay with you, my dear son. Bharata said, "Oh, uh, Empress Kaikeyi, you don't deserve to stay here. Uh, you better go back to the royal palace in Ayodhya and enjoy your royal happiness." When Bharata addressed his mother as "Oh, Empress Kaikeyi," Kaikeyi heart, I call you my mother. Therefore, you are the Empress Kaikeyi. If you are the mother, then how could you send your son into exile? Kaikeyi pleaded Bharata to allow her to stay in one corner of Nandigram, but Bharata would not agree. You can see, she said, I am being beaten by the royal happiness like biting off a scorpion. Don't ask me to go back to Ayodhya to enjoy real happiness, my dear son Bharata. I can do that. I am repenting piteously and crying, and I can see whole Ayodhya has turned into the sorrow. So I cannot go back to Ayodhya to enjoy the royal opulence. But still, Bharata was very, very strict, and he refused Kaikeyi to stay there. Uh, Bharata said that uh, since you have realized that you are suffering there, that is your atonement. Uh, uh, you should atone your mistake by undergoing repentance. You should know that you must suffer for the result of your karma. Hmm? You can see that Kaikeyi was thinking that by being the mother, as the mother of Bharata, when Bharata becomes the king, I will become Raja Mata, and we will all enjoy real happiness. That poison came to her mind because of the conspiracy by Manthara. And you can see this is the cause of bad association. That how much you may try to enjoy your material life, you will not be able to do because of the bad karma you create in wrong association. So always safeguard yourself from bad association. Uh, Now there's another teaching we will draw from the pastimes of Lava and Kush. Lava and Kusha, they were staying in Valmiki Rishi's ashram. Uh, and one day, Lava and Kusha, while playing with other boys in ashram, could see there was a beautiful horse coming towards the ashram. It was decorated very nicely. And obviously, as a child, they became attracted to the horse. They came near the horse and they wanted to keep the horse by their side. And then in the meantime, they found there was something written on the head of the horse. They saw the writing is that this is the horse of Ram, the paramount sovereign, one who surrenders unto the horse, he will get shelter of Ram. One who does not accept the monarchy of Ram will have to face the challenge of Ram's army. Oh, when these two boys, they saw this, because they are taught by their guru that a Kshatriya has to accept the challenge. So they took the challenge and they got the horse by their side. And the soldiers of Lord Ramachandra, while searching for the horse, they found that these two boys, they had kept the horse with them. And they they asked the boys that, please release the horse. They said, no, we want to fight with your king, Ram. Tell him to come and fight with us. Then first, the minister was sent. When minister came with the soldiers, uh, there was a conversation between Lavakush and the minister. And finally, they decided to battle. And in the battle, Lava and Kush, they could uh, very easily defeat the minister. And minister was lying on the ground, unconscious. Then Shatrugna came. Same thing happened to Shatrugna. And then Lakshmana came. Uh, Lakshmana also was lying unconscious. Uh, anyway, it's a very long story. I'm just, coming to the point. So you can see the great warrior like Shatrugna, Lakshman, they were defeated by these two small boys, Lava and Kusha. Then finally, Lord Ramachandra came. Who are these boys? He told when he came to the spot, he could see, yeah, Hanuman was also there. Hanuman also was sent. Hanuman was kept tied on a rope. So when Lord Ramachandra came, he saw everybody is now lying on the ground and Hanuman is sitting there with these two boys. Ramachandra was surprised. He said, Hanuman, what happened to you? Why are you sitting there? He said, my dear Lord, I can't do anything for you right now because I am now under these two children. They have mercifully opened my hands just to allow me to eat some fruits, my dear Lord. But I have given them words that I will not do anything to them. Then Ramachandra became very upset and he was about to shot an arrow. And then at that time, and their guru, Lava and Kusha's Guru Valmiki, he arrived on the spot. He said, Ram, what are you doing? Stop it. Then the matter was resolved. Here, the lesson is they are small boys, right? Lava and Kusha. How could they become so powerful in defeating big warriors like Shatrugna, Lakshmana, and Hanuman? Because the blessing of the Guru is the best armor for us. Hmm? From this past time, we could understand that when you get the blessing from your Guru, that saves us from any type of dangers in our life. So therefore, we should always spend some time to stay with our Guru in in the Guru's ashram, listen to his advice, and try to follow them, by which you gain the Shakti, the power to overcome any evil energy in this world. Uh, and also, there is one lesson, maybe this can be the final one, we can take from uh, the viewpoint of the management principles. Uh, in the world today, everybody wants to become the leader. Why? Because people has become greedy. eh? Out of greediness, they always make a show of their prowess to become the leader. But let us see, according to the teachings of Lord Ram, who is a qualified leader. So, the day when the fighting started between Bali and Sugriva, as you know, so it is a long story. I'll just give you a brief understanding. Uh, Sugriva was driven out from Kiskinda by Bali, and he had taken the entire kingdom for himself. And Sugriva was residing in the uh, mountain, Rishasingha, and then Parvat. And then when Lord Ramchandra was searching for Sita Devi, when Sita Devi was kidnapped by Ravana, he came to meet with Sugriva. And both of them, they became friends. And Lord Ram said, I will help you, my dear friend, to get the kingdom back to you from Bali. And then the agreement was that Lord Ramchandra will help Sugriva to defeat Bali, and Sugriva will help Lord Ramchandra to rescue Sita Devi. So uh, Bali had a blessing. Anyone, any enemy would come to fight with Bali. As soon as the enemy looks at the eyes of Bali, immediately half of the enemy's energy, power, will be transferred to Bali. So in that way, nobody could gain victory while fighting with Bali. So Bali and Sugriva, uh, they had to fight. And Lord Ramchandra said, I will help you. You don't worry. I'll kill Bali and you will become victorious. First day, when they fought Bali and Sugriva, Lord Ramchandra was ready to shoot the arrow, but he could not recognize who is Bali and who is Sugriva because both of them were looking alike. And Ramchandra was confused. And on that day, Sugriva was very severely beaten by the mesh of Bali. And he returned back to Lord Ramchandra. He said, my dear Lord, you promised me and you did not do anything this time. What happened to you? Lord Ramchandra said, my dear Shruti, because your bodily feature and Bali's bodily features are alike, I was not able to recognize who actually you were. But this time you go wearing a garland, then I know you are Sugriv and other person without garland is Bali. In that way I'll help you. So it so happened that next time Sugriva went to the battle wearing a garland. As the fight broke, Lord Ramchandra was from behind. He shot the arrow to Bali and Bali was dead. After Bali was dead, then Sugriva was supposed to become the king. He was supposed to become the leader. Now you can see the story. Then when Lord Ramchandra told Sugriva that Sugriva, now you are the king of Kiskinda. But Sugriva said, no, 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 my dear Lord. I am not fit to become the king. Lord Ramchandra said, why? Sugriva said, I am such a wretched person. Just because I want to become the ruler, I could kill my brother. This is not the quality of a leader, true leader. I am so greedy to enjoy the royal opulence. Therefore, I have killed my brother. No, 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 I am not fit to become the ruler. I can become the ruler. And he went on refusing. Then finally, the Ramchandra said, my dear Shubhdev, this is the qualification to become the leader, that you have realized you are not qualified and you are declining. That means you have the correct mood to rule the kingdom. So this is the point. Management principle is sometimes we become overly enthusiastic, overconfident about our intelligence and power, and we promote ourselves as a self-leader. But try to understand the mood behind. Why do you want to become the leader? Are you having the service mood? Or you are thinking you are highly qualified? Anyone who thinks I am highly qualified, uh, according to this teaching, is not a true leader. Lord Ramchandra said, because you never consider yourself having the quality of a leader, but I know you can lead, so you are the leader. So that means in management principle, the leader should be elected by the superior authority, and we should always serve under them. Then our life will be successful. Anyway, Ramayana is very big. How much we say, it will still remain unfinished. But in such a short time, we are trying to narrate a few stories to learn some lessons from Ramayana. And also in the beginning, we have discussed the Tattva about Lord Ramachandra. So this is how I would like to conclude our today's class, unless you have some question or comment. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare.
Hare
Srila
Krishna
Prabhupada
Prabhu.
ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Thank you so much for this wonderful class. At this point, if you have any questions, we still have 8 minutes left. So you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask Prabhuji.
yes, Lavanya
Yes,
Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat. Thank you for the beautiful class and the pastimes of the Lord. My question is, what is the difference of Valmiki Ramayan, and you mentioned in a little bit, and Tulsidas, which Tulsidas wrote? Because when we come to know many things, like the Lakshman Rekha, which I heard in a katha, that the Lakshman Rekha was like a line of fire. And then when Sita Mata crossed that line, that time it was Maya Sita who Ravan took. So I just wanted to get a little bit more, uh, light on that, to know, where we should uh, um, look for Ramayan with the saintly writings of Valmiki and Tulsidas and then other who wrote Ramayan.
We are now publishing in ISKCON. There is one devotee who is translating Valmiki, whole Valmiki Ramayana. We can purchase and read. But as I said, that this Tulsidas, he has written Ramcharitamanas, that is the expression of his loving devotion, loving sentiment. So there are some changes you can see there. So we don't disrespect because you are a devotee. But at the same time, we read the original Ramayana from Valmiki, which is now being published in ISKCON. If you want, you can purchase and you can read, and you will know everything in detail.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you so much. So, but that say that it was Maya Sita, was it like, uh, how can you justify that? Like it wasn't Sita?
Actually, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to South India, he got this story, and he also confirmed that yes, that was Maya Sita. Sita Devi was original. Sita Devi cannot be abducted because she is the energy, the internal potency of
Antaranga Shakti,
Lord.
yes.
Yeah, Antaranga Shakti. How can a demon can steal her? So that was Maya Sita. This is clear.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Nilambari Radha Mataji, you want to ask a question? You can go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nilambari Mataji.
Okay. Anyone else wants to ask any question to Prabhuji? We have just 3 minutes left.
No. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for your wonderful class, and hope to meet you again. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Panchakalpa
Krishna.
Sindhu
Tanam
Patitanam
Pavane Vaishnavi.
Bhyo Namo Namaha Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Preman Hari Hari Bol Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.